Welcome to another episode of the Trailblazers Experience Podcast, the podcast where we have candid conversations with women sharing their career journeys. And today is no exception. We have Naseema, founder of Saaabuni, innovative skincare brand whose mission is to provide high quality, all natural products inspired by the Ayurvedic principles. That was a tongue twister there. Welcome, Naseema.
Hi everyone. Hi Antola. I
I
hope
think
you're
we're
well.
gonna welcome Naseema. No, we need to start bigging up the guests really who come on here because we were talking about this, isn't it, just before we started about the reason for the podcast is to give women a voice to talk about the great things they're doing. So, what's front of mind for you when you think about your career journey and how this started, if you were to reflect on today?
Oh gosh, my career journey. So, I mean, without giving away my age, I started working very young, and I grew up in the 90s. Sort of like coming out of school in the early noughties, and everybody worked. Everybody just worked. You got a part-time job. I worked in a fast food chain. Then I went and carried on, and then I got married, had children, and throughout, like, my career, I've been very lucky in my career. I've also had a lot of setbacks in my career in that sense. I'm a trained health and safety professional, qualified, and I look at the sort of the things I've achieved. I went to university, got a degree, as you do, because you don't grow up in the 90s in a household full of children and not come out with some sort of qualification. So I studied law and French, made that extremely difficult for myself as well. But so yeah, I think there's a lot of things like that I look back on and I think, you know what, I've done this too. And then more, very importantly, sitting in the other room right now on the summer holidays, there's my 3 children, my husband who's going to try and sneak a coffee in at one point. So yeah, there's been a lot of experiences that have led to me wanting to go it on my own, do this whole leadership thing, see what I can build in by way of a business and as a career woman, as a woman leader. All of these setbacks and successes have sort of resulted in me wanting to go out and do Saaabuni. And I think, yeah. So
talk to me about that. I mean, before we started,
yeah,
you said that the business has been going for 2 years, but actually the R&D, research and development of the business started a few years back. So first of all, giving you your flowers that you've operated the business for 2 years. Most businesses fail. So you've come off, 2 years now going strong. But what led you to create this particular brand and focus on this particular industry?
So growing up in an Asian household, you always get told that, I think a lot of people get told this, it's our vanities. I've realized your skin is the mirror of what's going on inside. And that's sort of an Ayurvedic principle, and it's in a lot of principles where they tell you that what's going on inside will show up on your skin in some way. Now, I was just coming out of, I was on my maternity leave. I've been working full time. This was my 3rd child. It was meant to be my swan song of a maternity leave because nobody's having 4. I'm not buying a bigger house. But I came back out of it and I was going to have this amazing pregnancy/maternity leave. And 6 months into that maternity leave, we hit COVID. And suddenly and everybody has a story of COVID, but my particular story was trying to help my husband work in a home office that he'd never experienced before. He's very used to offices. I'm homeschooling 2 children who are also in that same office because space, and my daughter who was sitting with me at the same time. And the amalgamation of that and then conversations in trying to go back to work, them wanting me full time, myself not wanting to go back full time, resulted in huge amounts of stress coming out as pigmentation on my skin. Now, anybody who looks at my skin right now, and I feel like I always do this, and you can just about see it on the side of my face. Like it's very blurred now, and it might not have been that bad. I don't know. Personally, everybody says it wasn't that bad, Naseema. In my head, growing up in a household where your skin has to be perfection. You know, it was very bad. And ultimately what it boiled down to was my internal atmosphere. It wasn't right. I was struggling. So I went to make things easier for myself. I mean, this pigmentation, it wasn't just something that I looked at on the surface level. I also went on a full journey within myself, that what is the reason why am I so stressed? You know, I have this amazing family, and, you know, we're all here, we're all present. Why is it that I am it's becoming so bad? And that journey led to me thinking to myself, do you know what? And everybody would say to me certain things like, oh, do you know what you need? You just need some turmeric on your face. Do you know what you need? You just need to grab some aloe vera and slap it on. And there came my curiosity, because I'd worked in health and safety, and I'm that person where everybody's eyes roll, and then the tumbleweed comes in when you try to get them to do something like, I just need you to fill this risk assessment in, please. And everybody's like, oh gosh, we don't want to be doing this. We want to be doing our normal day. And so I'm that sort of person that I will always say that how much turmeric is the right amount of turmeric? Let's think about this for a second. You know, how much aloe vera do you need? How much aloe vera don't you need? Is any of it even going into your skin? What is absorption? So in that research, in that long, lengthy research that I then went on, that journey that I went on, Saaabuni was born. And it came from there. So I really enjoyed it in the sense that, yes, I started in 2020, and now we're in 2024, and my business is in its second full year. I love that journey. I love the whole like searching for these answers, because I'm a very curious individual. I love, like, you know, like people sit and, you know, scroll on TikTok or Facebook Reels, which are loads of fun. I'll sit and be like, what's the reason that this is happening to somebody's skin? You know, what is the difference between salicylic acid and turmeric, as an example? Why do people go for turmeric and not salicylic acid? Those are the questions that I will then start asking myself in my head, and then I'm like, right, I need to know the answer now. And then I'll go for that answer. So that journey started. And then one morning I woke up and said, you know what, I'm going to learn how to make soap. Never done it before, never really. I did realize afterwards, when my mum told me, that my mum's mum, my grandma on my mum's side, would actually make soap. It used to be a skill back in the day. You know, these old ladies would make loads of soap made out of animal fat, because you would get the fats from your cooking, and she would hand it out to the full village. That was what they would do as a gift, and she would just give it. And I've just got this soap here, go wash your clothes with it. I don't know how good it is, but here you go. And mum was like, can you believe it? Like, it's like having come full circle. And she's joined this journey in that way. Like, she thinks it's amazing that I've done this. Like, and I didn't even ask her. I didn't know that about my grandma when I started this journey. But it just goes to show that these sort of like, this understanding that these things are good for you. If you eat them, they're good for you. Therefore, they're good on your skin. It goes to show that it comes from a very long, like, journey of, we can almost call them like old wives' tales or something. And I'm sort of looking into the actual science behind it, that if you say this much turmeric, then why this much turmeric? And I want to be able to answer that question, because this is the amount of information that people want. And it's the kind of questions that I get asked, that, okay, you put this much turmeric in, or you put this much aloe vera in, you put this much saffron in, why? You know, how's that going to be good for me? Why did you choose these ingredients? And again, I love those questions. I actually wait for them. It's when if I'm getting asked these questions, I know that people are curious enough to want to join the journey, to understand, like, you know, where we're coming from and why we go out and do things in this way.
So it's really rooted in heritage. I mean, I was reading the story of Saaabuni on the website, and I love the fact that the foundation for it is the problem you were trying to solve is something wrong with your own skin.
Yeah.
And the curiousness around, okay, if we're going to do this using natural ingredients and formulations and recipes, what is the right amount so that we get that balance? And starting to make soap has been something that's been in your tradition anyway. So bringing those things together is the passion behind it. It's so interesting to hear. Speaking to a lot of women, when they start a business, usually they're trying to solve a problem for themselves, and then realizing that there's a market for it
Yes.
as well.
Yeah. And you know what? it's not surprising because the skincare industry, like, 4 years ago, had somebody told me that, maybe just realize the industry that you're getting into, like, and we already know, like, every other day. Even this morning I was on Instagram just scrolling past, and there's been, like, it's either Blake Lively or somebody else that's come out with a hair care range just this morning, which social media will love to tell you it's a suggested ad as well. So I'm like, oh yes, of course I want to know that I'm in a very, very inundated industry. That's the dream. But I don't do it for like doing something that's completely original. I didn't invent the concept of skincare. I certainly didn't invent the concept of natural skincare, because I wouldn't be here. We'd be 1,500 and thousands of years ago when actually the soaping concept first came in the Asian or the Arabian peninsulas. But like, it is such an inundated industry. It is such an industry that we don't understand. I spend a lot of time reading I do spend a lot of time reading the back of shampoo bottles and body wash bottles, like we did when there was no social media in the bathroom. But I now enjoy doing that. But we don't understand the words. We don't understand the botanical language that it's all written in. And there is a need to do that. And there is a need to understand that. If you know what is in the bottle, you will know that a lot of the time you don't need that on your skin. And we wouldn't drink a bottle of shampoo. We wouldn't eat a plate of food that we don't recognize. Yet for some reason, we will throw that on our hair and absorb directly into our skin, which is the only way we use our skin organ. We absorb directly. Whatever we put on, it will go in. And yet for some reason, we're just so happy to use it, like because TikTok said, or because social media said, or because some influencer backed it up somewhere. For me, the dream is to wade through all of that rubbish, like, all of that, like, you need hyaluronic acid on your skin, or you need niacinamide or retinol, or nobody needs any of that. Like, it's not everybody needs it. You need to know whether you need it. And I think that's the biggest question I'm trying to answer, that what do you need? And why do you think you need it? Do you recognize yourself enough, or do you recognize the bottles on your dressing table as much as you recognize the bottles in your pantry? And if you don't, there's a breakdown here. And in our schools, we don't get that. You will learn, like, you need this many carbohydrates and this much fiber and this much protein because of your internal organs. But nobody tells you how to look after your biggest organ, and the one that does it differently, the one that absorbs rather than gets fed. So, there's that. And I think there's definitely an education there, and there's definitely a breakdown there where people need to recognize it. I think we're getting there. I'm not saying like everybody is blind and still using these awful skincare products that are genuinely not that good, but that's the journey I want to take people on. I want them to join me. Like, come on, let's go together. Let's all hold
There's a
hands.
lot about cutting through the noise, isn't it? Because I was reading the stats. The national cosmetic industry is worth 13 billion. No wonder all these celebrities are jumping on the bandwagon. But it's about finding the right ingredients, the right products. When you describe that you're using the Ayurvedic principles into your skincare brand, I mean, for the audience, what are those principles? What are the guiding principles?
So the guiding principles of Ayurveda, very, very simply, do you know what surprised me more than anything is not many people have heard of Ayurveda. I grew up with it. Like, it was completely normal. Like, and it's in Ayurveda, the general idea is to find balance. And in the fast-paced world that we live in, it's close to impossible. You're never going to be able to find 100. You're never going to get whole balance. Choose your balance. Which one are you comfortable with? For me, yes, it started with my skin, but very quickly I've realized it's not just my skin. I'm never going to be, nobody's ever going to be 100% happy in everything, otherwise we'd be in heaven. But genuinely, like, I mean, we do joke around, but let's try and find this balance in the right way. And the reason for me Ayurvedic principles work is because they've been going on for almost, over 2,000 years. There's always an answer, and you will find there's lots and lots of overlap. Ayurvedic principles overlap with Arabian principles overlap with some European principles, and all of them are saying the same thing. that the answer is there. It is there. It depends on which route you decide to take. Saaabuni decided the Ayurvedic route because that is what I know, is what I grew up with, and it's what I can incorporate into skincare in a really good way, in a way that makes sense to people, and in a way that makes sense to me more than anything. Like, this is my brand, they're my formulas, and they're formulations that I work so extremely hard and so very long, and probably a bit too long, according to my business partner and my husband, who will always say that you don't need to take, you're so good at this, you don't need to take that long, like, tweaking a product. And I was like, yes, I do, because it's a responsibility to myself. I will use these products, they're mine. In my bathroom, you will only find my own products. If it's not made by me, then I won't be using it. So it has to be good for me, and I have high standards. So yeah, and if I have high standards for myself, then I have high standards for my customers and anybody who believes in the journey of Saaabuni.
Talk to me about your core ethics and principles. Obviously, you're of Indian heritage, and Ayurveda plays a very big role in that culture. You talked about balance and harmony in life. How has that helped you? Because I really want to encourage women to make sure they lean into those core principles that make them, and ethics that make them who they are. What
Yeah.
are those that are important to you, your core values and your ethics that feed into your business as well?
So the source of thing, like, as well as speaking about balance, and I feel like my 20s was spent gritting my teeth. Like, yeah, I don't. I feel like, I look at 20. I'm not very old, honestly. I feel like I'm coming across as a 60-year-old, and my hair's hidden. So but I'm not got them anyway. Thank God. But anyway, and so, but you spend your 20s searching for yourself, and like, a lot of my time I was very stressed. I was having, I had young children, and like, doing all of those things, and finding that balance is precious. Like, now that I hold on to it really, really tightly, and I want everybody to experience that, journey without the this teeth gritting that I did. And because it's a shame, you lose a lot of time, and it's precious time. We're in our prime, like, our 20s and our 30s. I want to look this good in my 60s, but I know it's not true. But so that sort of thing has fed into this joyfulness, this ultimately, that what I want is for people to feel that joy. And I think that's where the colorful luxury comes in. So you've seen my brand, you've looked at the website, you've seen my social media, and I believe, and that's another value that I really have tried to pull into, and even the Indian sort of like Indianness of it, the Indian aspect of it, the Indian skincare aspect. India is such a colorful and vibrant culture. I want to bring that into my brand. I want people to realize that is what we are, and we are unapologetically colorful. I don't have anything against the monochrome palette. I don't. I understand why it's there. I understand why it exists, and sometimes it looks amazing. Like when my graphic designer is trying to pull me out of the sky with my, with my color that I'm trying to throw at everything. I get why people do use the monochrome palette. It looks amazing, but it is not the vibrancy that I want in my brand. It's not the vibrancy I want for my customers. I want my customers to be that vibrant and that, enigmatic and energetic. The Ayurvedic principles is about that balance as well. And then ultimately, we do try to be eco-friendly. We want it to be an eco-friendly brand as well. We are as plastic free as we possibly can be. And in the skincare industry, I think anybody, listening, yourself, it is so, so difficult. I can't believe that is something that is very, very personal to me. I hate the amount of plastic I have in my house, even today, even though I have gone on a massive overhaul. I know that in some aspects, you can't get rid of it. Like, there will always be like, this cannot exist unless it's plastic, which is fine. And that's the sort of the journey that I've taken my own brand on. I know that, like, you will have bottles, and you will have like tinctures and elixirs and things like that. But all of them can exist with a minimal amount of plastic, because we only have that one world. And it sounds so cliche, but we do only have that one world, and we want to try and stretch it out for as long as we possibly can. And we want to leave it a good one for our children and our children's children. I feel like I'm quoting a song there, but but it is true. I feel like that community is strong, it's growing. I want everybody to, and I want to join that community as a Saaabuni journey. Like, I want that whole thing. I want it to bring us all together rather than, yeah, I'm doing it this way, but I don't want you to do it this way. I don't want that sort of like, I don't like being at loggerheads. I'm more of a let's give information so that you can start the journey stronger. And if you go further, happy days. That's where we're going to go.
I mean, it's such a great thing to have not only a strong ethos about why skin with natural ingredients you talked about skin being the most important organ and it absorbs, but the passion behind what are the foundations, what's the mission, what's the vision of the brand is so important. So let's talk about the business of Saaabuni and you as a founder. First of all, female founder, we love that. What are some of the challenges that you faced? Are you bootstrapped? Is it something you funded yourself or have you received investment? What are some of the challenges that you faced in these 2 years?
So I feel like I count myself quite lucky. First of all, it's a bootstrap business. Very much so. We started off on a shoestring budget. Like I say, because it wasn't something that I actually thought about doing as a brand. It started for me. So, when I'm a very, very frugal person, like to my own detriment, I'm a very frugal person. My husband, like, he's bowled over when I buy a pair of shoes. I think it is everybody's dream, but it's his nightmare is that you're never going to buy them. I know you're not going to buy them. I'll challenge you. So we are a bootstrap business in that sense, because of that reason. Some of the challenges I have faced is I know this journey can be huge. This movement is massive. And yeah, somebody must be doing it with more budget. Absolutely. The reason I count myself lucky is being able to do this. Like my husband has worked, he is the breadwinner in the house because this is a small business and it continues to be in its second year because we are only in our second year. I don't see us being here this time next year and certainly not the year after. But he works hard and he is the breadwinner and we have been able to fund it. Some of the challenges we have faced, one of the biggest challenges I have faced is he got made redundant this time last year. In fact, no, it was March last year. I remember it like he came home, he bought me a burger because he knew I'd feel better. If he broke the message, broke the news over a burger. And he said, I've been made redundant. And I was like, my goodness, we've not planned this one in. And he was like, it just is what it is. It's taken him. We did get another temporary role and but it has been a massive challenge. It really has. That one was a biggie, because I do want this to grow. And, Saaabuni is so good in that sense. Like I talk about it like as my fourth child. It kind of is a little bit, but it's been very good because it's funded itself. And that in itself, I'm very proud of. Everything that it makes, it goes back in. I've never had to say to my husband that, we need to put some money into it or etc. And we have a very good group of customers and returning customers as well. But like I say, when you join the journey, I found that they've stayed on the journey. And that I guess that's what I've been very lucky with. Yes, I would love to understand the concept of funding. And I know there is money there to help and we can tap into it. It's just a matter of time of when. And I'm not one of those I've said a number of times even today that I'm a very curious individual. I'm not one to step back. I'll just be like, do you know what, let's just carry on, keep going and let's find a way. I'm such a curious person. I will find a way. I know I will. Writing for funding and investment and etc. I used to be a writer previously. Nobody goes into health and say write. You're going to be made to write. So I've written a lot. And I think I can crack that. And that's one of the things we're currently working on, where I'm trying to crack that concept. And then other than that, challenges, I wouldn't say they're challenges, they are a gift. But finding time for my family, my children, that in itself, I talk about balance. That in itself is something that I've really, really tried hard to do. Would you believe I started my business thinking I'm going to find balance for my children? It's the naivety.
You're actually working more when you're running your own business, isn't it? Yeah, you can't clock off.
It's so funny. Like it becomes, the good thing about it is it's become part of them. Like they see themselves as employees of my brand and my business. They say, Mom, when I'm 18, I'm like, yes, darling, you're 9. But yeah, when I'm 18, I'm going to join you. I'm going to be the social media guy. And I'm like, okay. they're so, they make me laugh. Like we do enjoy ourselves. Like we do have a bit of a laugh, and they'll actually ask me like, "Mom, how's your day been? How's Saaabuni been? Like, what did you achieve today?" And I'm like, "What did you achieve today?" And like, and you know, so we do have that. And so, like I say, it's not a challenge, but it's just something that we really have found our. I really love how it goes. You know, like how we are able to really join in with. They are really able to. It's become this whole thing where we're all just together, and this community just gets bigger and bigger because, you know, my friends are like part of the journey. They all use my products and they all talk about it, and I hear them talking about it. And some of the best things, I think a complete stranger a couple of days ago, and we were just introducing ourselves, and I was like, "Oh, I make my own skincare. It's called Saaabuni." And she's like, "Oh my God, that's on my bucket list of things to buy. Like I've actually put it in my basket." And I was like, "Do you know what? Just message me what you want." And it was I think it was in Birmingham, and I was like, "Oh my goodness," like, you know. And she's like, somebody who was telling me, who was, you know, and we connected the dots, as you do, like, you know, how do you know, where have you heard from me about us? And it turned out she was like a friend of a friend, and she put it into her basket so many times, and she now wants to buy and has done. So yeah, so you know, those sorts of things, those wins really make some of these challenges that we faced a lot more manageable and digestible. Yeah, there's so many things. Like we struggled with our trademark. We struggled with formulation. Like when I first started formulating and trying to get into the compliance side of things, like I talk compliance sun up to sundown. I will, but skincare formulation, I can't. The amount of hoops you have to jump through, because again, like, I mean, we know the importance of it. I said it right at the beginning. We are absorbing directly onto our skin. It would be remiss of me and very, very irresponsible of me if I didn't put it through like all of those, you know, steps and balances that you have to put it through. And worryingly, there are brands that I've seen where I'm like, this is wrong. Like, you know, I feel like, and the vocal side of me wants to message them and be like, "Do you want some help with your compliance? I'll do it." Because I want to be able to, again, it comes right down to the customer, that person that's going to be using it, and not knowing what they're using because this person hasn't put their legwork into it. You know, 2 years for me might have been a long time. Somebody else might look at it and be like, "It's a 5-minute job for me. It's not even a thing." But I wanted to understand it to that in-depth level. Like, what is it that's needed? Why is it needed? And again, that comes down to my health and safety background. I say this to other people, so I have to follow in the footsteps, no matter how much, whether it hurts me. In fact, I love it. I absolutely love it.
I mean, you've talked about it. A lot of it is about that due diligence. So honestly, the fact that you've landed your trademark, you've landed the due diligence, the formulations, that is the most important work before you even start selling, whether it's on Instagram or TikTok or your shop, Shopify, etc. It really is the foundation of that, because if you get the basics right, those are the questions people will be asking. Tell us about your sustainability efforts. Where are these products sourced? What will happen to my skin? So you've actually, it's something to be proud of. It's a challenge, but I think it's also a milestone for you that you are very invested in making sure that you have a good product in the market that actually meets all the checklists of what good natural skincare should be. And then everything else will follow in terms
Yeah.
of the growth.
Yeah.
And the reality is you still have a family, your husband still has to work. You know, you're not giving up your day job until you actually know that this is where it needs to be. These are the stories, the realities that people need to hear as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, the foundations are strong. I'm building, and I've always said that we build up that way. We don't, you know, we're not going to do that. You know, like I don't believe in like sitting on a pinhead, you know, and I love that. It's good. I mean, it's like I say, I've seen it all as like a gift, because I do, people, anybody I speak to, they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I actually love it. Like, I love that, you know, like the win and the, you know, you send something off and it comes back and it's like, yes, it's past this and it's past this and this is fine, and you know, the bacteria level is fine and all of that, and you send it off with like, oh, is it going to happen? And it does, and I'm like, oh my God, and I'm getting better at it. I can do it. I can do all these new formulations. as well as doing my business, as well as, so I do it all like it just works together. There's so many lines, and it's like almost like like when you look at a sheet of music and you get like the top level and the middle level and you get all of this, and it just all works together. I'm auto-tuning like crazy, but it's so, I do really, really like love that challenge. Like, it's almost like the challenge accepted. Can I do this? Like we started off with soap, we moved on to moisturizer. Again, it was a case of what is the best what do people look for in moisturizers and why? That is always the question that what do I look for in a moisturizer and why? And I'm my own biggest critic. And that's where it goes back to my husband saying, seriously, Naseema, you need to stop. Like, I've got everything ready. You just need to like give me something to sell now. And like he has to be so careful how he says these things though, because he loves we do yin and yang each other. Like I will be like my most recent one has been wanting to make a body wash. Body washes are, I don't think many people know this, they're like up to 95% water. If you turn your body wash around and it says aqua, it's majority water, because again, concentration levels go from top to bottom. And there's no point once you get water in your tap. You can just buy a soap and use that water. But I do want to find a way to reduce that completely down as much as possible. And do you know what? I think I'm almost there. I'm so excited about this one, because it's going to bring all the soap naysayers over to this body wash concept. But then again, it has to be good. And I've been doing this for so long. Like, I think my husband will be standing out there going, it's still going to be at least another 3 months when she's going to say that she's got a product that she can put onto the market. I'm not saying I am my own worst enemy, but because it's not true. I don't believe that. I believe like I'm going to do it. I've learned the hard way where I did pull our product out. We pulled it back very, very quickly. That again, going back to a challenge where I did pull it back very, very quickly because it wasn't right. And I'm very lucky in that sense where I can do that. And I can say, well, it's not ready. Pull it back. Let's stop. Let's hold it back. Let's not even send these back or refund the customers that we have had. And let's go back to fixing what isn't right. Because we don't get it right. Of course I don't get it right. Nobody is ever going to get it right 100% of the time.
Well, it's having the ability to pivot really quickly, isn't it? Fail fast and make mistakes and then keep it moving. Tell me, Naseema, so women networking is really important, and we were obviously introduced by Women Built, which is a network in itself. How has that played a role for you as a founder to now reach out to other networks, other women entrepreneurs, to sort of expand your horizon of what this business that you have built could be?
So like with networking, like I said, that is me in my happy place. I love networking. I love talking. I feel like it's quite it's quite vain to say I love talking about myself, my business, my children. People have to stop me, like, okay, and then I actively have to be like, okay, let this person talk. Like I can hear, like in the back of my head, that's what I'm doing. Like, I'm thinking to myself, like, am I talking too much? But once I get animated and once I start, once I start, it's difficult to stop me. So this is why when I say networking is something that is like second nature to me. Like, I blame my mom to a certain degree. She would take me into these massive households with massive weddings and just sit me down and be like, I'm going to talk to all my friends. And my mom is just exactly the same. So she'll talk to all her friends and she'll just leave me to play or to get used to. And eventually I understood like how you how you manage a conversation, maintain a conversation, like talk about interesting things, etc., etc. And now I actually do have something interesting to talk about. Yeah. So we're all great. So with regards to how I do that with networking about Saaabuni, I have no shame in just bringing up the conversation, because why would there be anything where you tell me about you and I'll tell you about me, and we might actually grow this in a really good way. Like some of the best networking stories, a really good one that comes to mind is a brand that I have made products for. They're a different kind of brand, more like a fragrancing company, like a home fragrancing company, and they wanted to venture out into making their own skincare. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Why not? You know, fantastic. And that conversation literally started off with her asking me, again, another female founder, done really, really well for herself. And she just asked me, okay, so tell me a little bit about Saaabuni. And that is genuinely how that conversation, and from there, she was like, do you know what? I really, really have always thought about, like, you know, my home fragrancing could become a cream. So we did a cream together. I made it all compliant for her. In fact, I still make it for her whenever she orders it. So, and that is the beauty of, you know, women supporting women, and businesses supporting businesses. You know, like, let's not forget, like, you know, there's not just women businesses out there, but, you know, like, businesses supporting businesses. You can do it. You can grow together. You can take this journey together. Possibly because of me just wanting to put myself out there and talk about it, and, you know, even having conversations like you know, we're having today, it just opens doors, or it helps people grow. Because I am one of those people that it doesn't really bother me. I'll just have that conversation. Let's just talk. There's so many, like, I'm interesting, and I used to be so much more interesting and talk about other things. Now I only talk about Saaabuni, but it has been such a good journey in the sense that other people have so many other things to add. And I love it when people, like, the body wash idea came from, again, another one of my customers, and said, look, just try it. It's about a year ago. I said, just try it. What's going to happen if you don't? I was like, I don't know, nothing. And then I just tried it, and we're getting there to a product. So there's so many wins there. Like, networking is so important. Just because, even like talking about the challenges, like, you know, like one of my closest friends is a business owner, where we just sit there and we're like, what is this day? How's your day been? I don't even. So we'll just catch up, like, on a daily or maybe every other day, and we'll just both talk about how challenging this day has been, or how much we've won, or, you know, etc. So I think it's something that everybody should do, or try to do anyway.
And especially if you're trying to grow your business, you have to be the storyteller talking about it. And I loved what you said about how you had a conversation with another business owner, and then you were able to use your skill set to white label a product for her. I mean, that's another side hustle in itself, but that's, you know, if all else fails, you can make products and formulations for other people and charge for it as well. So that's really good insights. What does Saaabuni mean?
Do you know, Saaabuni comes from the word sabun, and sabun, savon, soap, you know, it all comes from that same word, which is soap. And Saaabuni literally translates in Hindi, in Urdu as well. It translates to being soapy. So, and weirdly, it is something that came up in my shower as well. Like, I was soaping myself, and I was like, Saaabuni, sabun. But the word itself comes from the three letters SAP, which is a sap. And the sap number is what every single soap. So every single soap, this is so interesting, by the way. Every single soap has a sap number, which is a saponification number. And each soap has its characteristics, whereas how hard it is, how much lava you're going to get, you know. So it has like 5 or 6 different characteristics of a soap, and that has a number. And that ultimate number becomes the sap number. And it all comes from the chemical reaction, saponification, which is what happens when you make soap.
I love that. I mean, Naseema getting all geeky about soap. Who knew?
Oh my God. When I read,
yes.
do you know how you asked me what does Saaabuni mean? I'm a linguist, because obviously I studied French in the university, and then I was German and Urdu at home, Gujarati at home, Arabic a little bit. So I love looking at the history of words. So again, something else that I find, like, I like to, it's this curiosity. It's going to be the death of you. It's going to be like actually get me somewhere. But so I asked, I was like, where does this word come from? What does soap mean? Why are the words so similar? Why are everybody using like similar words here? And then I looked into the history of these words, and I realized, I was like, oh my God. And it was like almost like a mic drop moment. It's just, sadly, it just takes too long from getting somebody from soap to saponification. I need to like reduce that amount of time and then stand up on a stage and do it. And then that one line, and then I'll drop my mic and I'll walk off.
Exactly. But no, there is always a story in the brand name, isn't it? That's like the most important part, and sometimes the one that takes the most time because you come up with the name and then you realize, oh, we can't register it because somebody else has it then. And then you have to start again, go back to the drawing board, but then you find a name and then it makes sense and it resonates and it connects the dots for the
Yes.
storytelling, which is important for your business as you grow it. I think that's great to see. You
I
talked
think,
about working with your husband. So
yeah.
you're a founder and you work with your partner. How are you able to divide and conquer? Because I feel like I can now hear what your specialities are in one part of the business, but how are you able to divide and conquer and share the roles to make sure that you are making the best of you as the female founder, but also honing into his skills as well in the business?
So my husband is a buyer by trade. So he was a head of buying when he took redundant when was made redundant. And the way it works, and it is really like he's gonna actually be like, this is 100% what happened. I do all of the stuff that I enjoy doing.
Rightly so as the founder.
And then he picks up everything else. I'll just drop. Like the other day, we're having a supplier week this week. Every single supplier, bar none, we've had issues with, and I don't know what's going on. I think they've all banded together and decided to give us loads of free. And he came in and he said, my story, that was it. So we ordered 250 bottles and 90 of them were smashed. He came in and he came upstairs where I work and where I was working, and he goes, 90 bottles out of 250 are smashed. And that's just one part of the order. And he goes, I'm not even telling you about the rest of it. I just looked at him, deadpan in the face, and I said, sort it out. And he just, and that was it. He was like, and he goes, yeah, I'm sorting it. Don't worry. I just thought I'd tell you. I'm like, and today is not the day, name. Like, not the day. Do not do this to me today. But genuinely, if I can say, this is why we yin and yang off each other. Because if I can honestly say, that man has picked up everything that I do not enjoy. He doesn't enjoy it either. He will be the first person to say he looks after my social media. Like the page you see is made by him. And he does not enjoy that at all. But he knows for a fact, it's probably helps that I'm married to him. But he knows for a fact that I am not going to pick this up. Like, it just won't happen. So he'll just do it. He's really good like that. Like, like he will just like pick it up and he'll be like, right, okay. And he does it well. Like he's taken what's in my brain, this like, tornado of ideas that are in my brain, and he has really done it really well onto our social media, our website. I know he's used the Shopify platform, but he does that too. He does that back end of it, production wise, that's all me. And I love production because I've been in production lines a lot. I've risk assessed hundreds of production lines. So I will do like all the inventory side of things. So we have a whole lot of ground when it comes to the manufacturing and the production and the formulating and all of that side of it. That we do cover a lot of ground. That's not to say we wouldn't happily give this over. When the business grows, like I think the first thing that's gonna go is social media. We're like, yeah, take it. But like it's like, but it's not that we have this vision, and because we have been on the back end of it, looking at how other businesses have done it, and we've been quite lucky like that. Like I say, like we are in and around businesses, many small businesses. Like I see how other people do it and do it well. So, and he himself as well, he's again growing up in the 90s, working in the noughties and having this long career as a buyer and then a head of trade and looking at, for big companies as well, like, Microsoft, and that is like, he's like, oh yeah, I spoke to this person today. But yeah, so we see how other people have done it, and we, as a small business, we have big dreams like that. Like, we have like high standards together. So he has high standards for our social media, and I had high standards for our product, and so it all fits into each space, like into this big jigsaw that is like a Saaabuni jigsaw. Like ultimately they will sell Saaabuni and it just gets bigger and bigger. There's a nice visualization there, Naseema. But anyway, yes. So it really does, like I can honestly say, without him, genuinely, like without me ranting at him sun up to sundown, this business would cease to exist. Like genuinely. And I can't say that. I'm not just saying it because he's probably going to listen to this, but I genuinely believe that. Like we go to.
Yeah, it's finding that balance. And really, Naseema, it's about enjoying that journey, isn't it?
Oh
Right
yeah.
now, you are a startup business, you are growing, so you're having to do everything. You're having to divide and conquer. You're having to focus on what your strengths are and his strengths are. So it's also important to tell that story, because I'm so tired of the narrative on social media of people not telling the real stories of
Yeah.
how they're growing their business, what actually happens behind the lines. The fact that you actually have to do everything in the business and wear many hats. And it's good to give that realistic vision and view as well.
It's so true. It really frustrates me when these glossy looking businesses and do you know what, like it's sad though, isn't it? The algorithm is like that. If it
Yeah,
doesn't look glossy and
unfortunately. Yeah.
shiny, yeah, so it needs to, and you understand why these businesses do that and then pummel this money into it. And yes, social media and the way but the closest ambassadors and the closest people like that have joined this journey to me, and there's we're a growing community. Like, there's always people like, oh, I love this and this is why I do these things. Like, I talk to people like yourselves, and because it's so necessary, and it's so, the amount of engagement I got on those broken bottles on my social media that day, and like, because it's honest and it's true, and I'm not singing as like, I'm not talking as a story, and I don't do that. I'm not that person. In fact, like I say, like I try to enjoy every aspect of it, because at the end of the day, we're here and we're able to, there are many, many people in the world out there, with the way these things are now, where they can't do that. They can't have that. They can't sit in, in their living room having these conversations. So I am very lucky. I am very blessed. I have got a thriving household, and where I'm wondering what we're going to have for lunch, like, because it's now 12:30, yeah, because they're all sitting there and they're all going to be wondering when's mom coming in and cooking. And, and that's one bit that he won't pick up. I know, because he doesn't know how to do these things as well as I do. And it's great. It just all falls part in the parcel. And I've loved every part of it. Like, the way we run things by each other, like ships in the night, where we just go past each other and he'll shout something and I'll shout something, and it'll just be an update on the business. And then we'll go back into our own little corners.
Love it. So looking ahead, what is your long-term vision for the brand, and what's next? If you're looking the next 3 years.
Okay, so next 3 years, I want to build some retail partnerships. Like I say, we've worked hard. We've built a strong partner foundation. I want to build a lot of retail partnerships. I don't see my brand being just an e-commerce business. I want it to be more accessible than that. And I like that concept where people are able to pick up the bottle. I'm one of those people where, again, put it back down to age. I want to be able to pick up the bottle and feel it and smell it. And like, we're experiential buyers. I feel like I want people to be able to have that experience when they are buying, not just when they're opening the box. So I guess that's where I see, by way of, growing the brand, I want to be able to get some wholesale relationships. I do like formulating for other businesses. I won't lie. I don't think I don't think I've ended that there, and I will try that. Like I said, the few that I've done about 4 or 5, and it just came through this sort of networking. I think somebody else I did it for, we did a giveaway together. And then she asked me, like, will you be able to do you think you'll be able to do this? I was like, yes. And then I took that on. So, I don't think I've fully put that to bed. And then what I've won, the dream, not in the next 3 years, but then the long-term dream for Saaabuni, is to create this movement where there is joy and balance. That is what I've learned in all the years that I've done this business, in all the time before, in where I was finding myself in my teens and my 20s and having children at the same time. I have no idea how I did that. But, where in that, there is a joy in enjoying the moment. Like, enjoy that time. Enjoy even the At the end of the day, go to sleep, wake up and drop it. If you can, if that's possible. I've always said to my husband that it'll either be fixed with a burger or it'll be fixed with a good night's rest. That's it. That's what I found that about I'm so easygoing like that. Like, I'll just be like, I just need to sleep on it. Once I've slept on it, I'm going to wake up with a plan. And it's not like it's completely fixed. It's just I'm going to wake up with, right, we're going to wake up with a good step forward. You know, a glass of water, a cup of coffee, we're done. And we're going to carry on and we're going to forge ahead. I think that's, and ultimately, and that's what it boils down to, isn't it? It's forging ahead. That's the dream for Saaabuni. We're going to carry on, because it's not like we've not had our challenges. We most certainly have. But throughout it all, we've come out stronger. And I think that's what people sometimes forget, that you're going to come out stronger. You know, you're going to see yourself in the next couple of years and you're going to think like, oh my God, I survived this too. Your plate is your plate. It's always going to have issues on it, because otherwise we wouldn't be in life. And we all have that journey. Like like I said before, that COVID journey that we all went through that journey. See it that way. You're always going to
have the other end, isn't it?
We are going to come out of the other, you're going to come out the other end, because it's not the end, and it never will be. You're going to, and therein lies the joy. You're going to have to find that beauty in that chaos. That sounds like a trip in my brain. Beauty in the chaos.
I love that, Naseema. Yeah, exactly. They're taglines. I mean, you need to start writing these down, isn't it? Because they're going to be a very important part. Last but not least, so we end the podcast where we ask our guests to share 3 Trailblazer takeaway tips to share with the audience in terms of things that you've learned. Your words of wisdom, Naseema, what would they be?
Forge ahead. That would be, if it's a tip, then that's a sentence. Just keep going. And even if it is going towards the end of your journey, even if Saaabuni ends, I don't know where this is going to go in the next, I know where I want it to go, but even if Saaabuni ends, but even then, enjoy that time, because otherwise you're going to be living in that fear that it might end. So many times this last year during my husband's redundancy, I thought about it in my head. We're a bootstrap business. And therein it lies that enjoy it, try and enjoy it. No matter how stressful it is, try and enjoy it. Forge ahead. And there is beauty in balance. There really is. The internally, externally, on your skin, on your hair, whatever it is, the beauty is in the...
Naseema, thank you so much for your time. You are an entrepreneur, a wife, a mother of amazing children. You are doing the research and development formulations for your own brand, and you're clearly enjoying the journey, which is brilliant. And it's great to have you share your story, and hopefully it's inspired someone. So thank you so much. I will link in the show notes of where to find your product, the Instagram tags and everything, so that they can follow you as well. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I didn't hear you, Naseema. Say it again.
Sorry, I think we broke off there a little bit, but thank you so much for having me. Like I say, you've given me such a good morning, like end to the morning, because this is me in my happy place talking to people. And yeah, you know what? Like, say hello. If you find Saaabuni on the Instagram, just say hello to me. It will be me saying hello, because this is how much I love networking.
Love it. So for the audience, this has been the Trailblazers Experience Podcast. You know where to find us. Do me a favor, tell another woman about the podcast, and remember to follow, like, subscribe, and share. On that note, thank you.